Welcome to StartUpHealth TV, where we celebrate the entrepreneurs and innovators who are transforming health. I'm your host, Logan Plaster. I am proud to be here with Christian Dansereau from Perceiv AI. Christian, thanks for joining me today.
My pleasure. Thank you for the invitation.
Always good to get an update on what you're building. Let's just explain to the audience, what is Perceiv AI?
Yeah, certainly. So in a nutshell, we are forecasting disease evolution, how patient will progress in the near-term future. And we are starting with Alzheimer's disease, which is our key disease, a very large disease. And we are building a platform around this team to try to address that forecasting.
How much can you forecast when it comes to Alzheimer's?
Yeah, so we predict the cognitive
And explain it to us like we're a
decline,
non-PhD, non-academic audience.
Yeah. So individuals actually will progress in the disease at different stage, right? And they will progress in their cognition, so they will decline in their cognition through time up to a point where they become demented. Obviously, you want to track that at the very early stages. And the unfortunate thing is that there is a lot of variability in that population. So one person will progress very rapidly, another person will progress very slowly. You may have like a kind of different variation in how you progress with like some calm stage. And that creates a lot of uncertainty for a physician, for a clinician that is trying to put a diagnostic on that patient, and also for pharma to execute on clinical trials. Make effective clinical trials.
Now, you're unique in the community and in these interviews in that you have been working on AI, machine learning, academically for a long, long time, long before it was a kind of a kitchen table conversation as it is now. Talk to me a bit about that journey for you in terms of the public acceptance of it and just kind of the academic conversations around AI in health.
Yeah, so I've done my PhD thesis actually on these teams. It was not that popular at the time, at least not Alzheimer's disease. We had 20 years of very, very bad results in Alzheimer's disease, so it was very difficult.
When you say bad results, it just you weren't
clinical
getting,
trials in terms of success of bringing new therapies into the market.
It just wasn't working, wasn't helping.
No, actually, 20 years without any new drugs. Now, recently, there is 2 new drugs that are coming on the market, so it's completely changing the field. It's very exciting, but in the past few years, it was quite difficult to build that traction and that momentum, and also convince pharmaceutical companies to adopt or de-risk their strategies. They've been doing the same thing for a very long time without success. Now they are starting to see that they need to change their strategy, which is great and very exciting. And so the first few years of the company, we were really hands-on, trying to build, publish, show evidence of these types of strategy can work and have very good outcome.
You mentioned that in Alzheimer's there have been some developments, some innovations. What are some of those sort of latest developments?
Yeah, so we have one new disease-modifying treatment that just got accepted 3 months ago, and another one is coming at the end of the year. So these are the first drugs that will actually slow down the disease progression. So it completely changed how we should treat, evaluate these patients. We should diagnose them way sooner to put them on these treatments. So it's exciting for the patient that can actually have now solutions.
That's
right?
interesting. So what I hear you saying is that before there wasn't a lot of reason to find it early because there wasn't much we could do. So if you have a therapy, then all these things that could diagnose you sooner become more valuable.
Exactly. So these the previous drugs were trying to patch the symptoms and were indicated really for the late phase of the disease, so in dementia mainly. So there was not that much you could do in the early phases.
Talk to me about the gap that exists. So you were in academics and you present your papers, you go to academic conferences like this and have your poster presentation. Talk to me about the gap between academic discovery and getting to the patient and whether it's knowledge translation, whatever it is, how can we speed that up?
Yeah, so you need to build trust, and most of the people that we are interacting with are very old school pharma or clinicians, right? Like they are systems that are not really, they are pretty refractory to change. So you need to really build trust. You can do it in multiple ways. Through publication, but also some of the new stuff that we've just announced with the platform, with Foresight platform, where we have a new HIPAA compliancy and some security and privacy certification that are coming in the next month. So these are bringing more trust to these stakeholders and facilitate adoption.
Are you part of a sort of a younger cohort of founders who are thinking about AI in a different way? Is there sort of like an old school, new school paradigm here?
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'm a bit more old school on that sense. I mean, AI is a tool at the end of the day to really address some specific questions and complex questions that we cannot really address, or the physician cannot address by himself. So it's another layer of insight that we are bringing with AI, but it's not the cornerstone of everything, right? Like the whole hype around generative AI, I think, is interesting on some specific application, but it's not the solution for everything. Yeah. So you need to be smart in the way or how you apply AI.
Which takes you back to the academic environment where you present the papers and you do the research.
Yeah, you need to filter the noise, right?
Yeah. What's next for Perceiv AI? What are you excited about over the next 6 to 12 months?
Yeah, so one of the big things that we are putting in place right now is a learning network of several institutions, international institutions in Canada, US, Europe, and Brazil, that will start to evaluate our platform. And that's a very exciting network and environment that will be able to deploy and evaluate the platform. So this is one of the big things that we are working right now on top of the certification that we...
And that's about having sources of data, is that the idea?
Yeah, and actually trying to test it in the hands of clinicians, like how prognostic information or predicting the near-term future of these patients will enable change from the physician perspective, right? Like instead of waiting for symptoms to deteriorate, they can take action right now if they know what's going to come next for these patients. So that's going to be very interesting to see how the behaviors change in terms of ordering tests sooner, not doing those long watchful waiting that they are currently doing, and streamline that process or that diagnostic process to put them on a treatment sooner.
Very interesting. Well, Christian, it's exciting to hear this update. Very interesting to hear that you have these opportunities to partner with institutions to sort of run the numbers and see how you're able to diagnose. And really interesting, this combination of new therapies unlocking the value of early detection, which is going to be huge for Perceiv AI.
Yeah, ultimately it's prevention, right? That we want to achieve, and more personalized or precision medicine that we want to achieve at the end. So we're getting there.
Yeah. Last question. I'm guessing you got into Alzheimer's because there was an application of AI that you identified. Has that opened up an understanding of Alzheimer's and this challenge of Alzheimer's? Like do you get stories from patients and families? Do you hear things?
Yeah, I mean, so from a more scientific perspective, it's an incredible challenge, right? It's a very challenging and complex disease. So this is one part that is extremely interesting. On the other side of the disease side, I mean, your identity is basically defined by your mind, and losing it basically strips you out of this. And this is a terrible disease for anybody that is working with his mind most of the time, and most of my colleagues, like this is really a terrible disease that anything we can do to bring new therapies to the market sooner will be extremely valuable, right? Like we have an aging population, everybody is getting older, we don't have that many therapies, and so we need to solve that problem given the increased rate of that disease, or at least the prevalence is increasing and is projected to increase quite a bit in the next 30 years.
Well, Christian, thank you for doing this important work. We'll be watching your progress as you do those partnerships and keep developing this platform.
My pleasure.
Thanks.
Thank you, Logan.
Thank you.